Good morning. I was about 5 seconds early then, but I just couldn't wait. Just could not wait. Because how exciting is it? We're going to have a massive green day on the markets because some may not like what I have to say, but Trump did cave in when it comes to tariffs, apart from China. But Trump has caved in. And according to an interesting article in Washington Post, the reason he caved in is because of a scary bond market freakout. Funny enough, this is the Washington Post, and typically I can't read these because you have to pay, but I put it into this particular profile, my Kneppy Invest profile, and I can read it. So that's exciting. I can read this whole article. I tried to do it in my normal profile and I can't read it. So apparently, investors started dumping US government bonds Wednesday morning. And I mentioned this yesterday, and there was a few comments in some of the articles I did read yesterday about this, that this was really scary. And what happened overnight is that Donald Trump either he paused tariffs on all countries except one, and I think he lifted tariffs as well. Like he dropped tariffs, like in order 10% or something like that, except China. So at this point in time, we still have a trade war, and that trade war is between China and USA. And in my opinion, they're both acting like bullies. And when you have two bullies trying to fight each other, you just step away, let them go for it. And in the end, they're both going to be weaker in the long run if they don't stop this. I do think eventually sanity will prevail and there will be a deal. I think there should be. If sanity prevails, there'll be lots of deals. But there is a reason why Trump wanted the tariffs. Now, some might say it's a negotiating tactic. But I've heard other stuff that he does think tariffs would be helpful to the American people and the American economy. So I'm not sure which way they're going to go. Now, one of the reasons why we have sold off over the past, I suppose, month or so is because of uncertainty. Now, this does not change anything. There's still uncertainty out there, but at least for the short term, a little bit less uncertainty. Now, is the worst over? That is probably the most important question. Is today a great time to start buying? Personally, I am not. I'm happy with my long-term portfolio. That should do fairly well today. I'm not going back to trading anything unless I get some interesting announcements like Appendix 4Cs or something like that. But even then, there is a bit of a risk because we have seen these sort of days in the past. And when do these days always occur? They always occur in bear markets. So there was an interesting tweet from Rudy. Here he goes. One forecast I'm willing to make. Expect a lot of tweets on a time in the market instead of trying to time the market today. Just a hunch. Bear markets include sharp rallies. P.S. This isn't over by a long shot. And I would agree with that. If you have a look at the past, the best days always happen in bear markets. Sometimes you hear experts say you have to stay fully invested because then you miss out on those days. But what they don't mention is if you miss out on those days, you also miss out on the worst days as well. But I think it's not my philosophy to be fully in cash. Absolutely not, because you just don't know. You just don't know. Can we see your portfolio says aimless travel? I, on occasion, will show you my portfolio in videos, but I won't do it in today's video. Won't do it right now. So what I'm going to do is there was also another interesting, about reciprocal tariffs when it comes to pharmaceuticals. And the quote this morning, one can only shudder to think how much money was made in the last few days by stock, bond, or foreign exchange investors able to correctly second guess what Trump does next. No further comment. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I did not plan to do a video. And then I woke up and saw, in fact, when I woke up, I had a guess what the market was going to be up. I had a feeling it would be up. And I was thinking maybe between 2 and 3%. And then I had a look, it was up 10%. I was like, this was NASDAQ. And I was like, wow. So NASDAQ up, what was it? 12 point, the NDQ up 12.02%, S&P 500 up 9.5%, and the Dow Jones up 7.87%, Russell 2000 up 8.66%. At this point in time, the ASX 200 futures up 6.62%. They'll get back to trading soon. Now, in saying that, the American futures have started trading again, and they're both up. So NASDAQ and Dow Jones are both up a little bit. I'll just show you, I can show you my American portfolio here, and just to see how much companies have rallied. Now, the only two companies that didn't rally are companies listed in Europe, and they finished their trading session before Trump announced this back down on tariffs. That happened about 2 or 3 a.m. local time. In fact, you can see, all you have to do is have a look at the NASDAQ and just see where it just spikes up. In fact, the NASDAQ went up 7% in 8 minutes. I'm going to say that again. The NASDAQ went up 7% in 8 minutes with this announcement. Anyway, so look at that. So the vast majority of my portfolio, American portfolio, were up by over 10%. Nvidia up 18.7%. Apple up 15%. Shopify up 18.56%. The only two companies missed out were Alphabet up 9.68% and Adobe up 7.25%. Even I have another holding, but these are smaller holdings, including CrowdStrike up 16%, Roblox up 11.9%. And the reason I have smaller holdings in these is because I would not consider these companies high quality. Some of these I hold because I would consider value, that sort of thing. You might notice PayPal's in this one. I don't consider PayPal anymore to be high quality. So sort of in both lists. Anyway, so expect a pretty good day on the ASX. Which companies should rally the most? Absolutely companies like WiseTech. No, Pro Medicus. We'll say Pro Medicus should rally the most. Already up 10.47% in indicated pricing. WiseTech, yeah, why not? WiseTech up 8.39%. What else is out there? Definitely the banks. CBA should be up like 2 to 3% at most. We'll say at least 2 to 3%. So I would expect the more risky, high-value companies to have the best run today. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back through history. Is the worst over? Now, when I worked in Japan, when I first started forecasting weather, yes, I worked in Japan for a while. There was this system moving towards the Tokyo area, a fairly big system, and it was expected to bring a fair bit of snowfall. And I was like, I'm not sure how to forecast this. I haven't lived in Japan for very long, and it's very important when it comes to weather forecasting. To be a weather forecaster, you just can't forecast immediately for any location on Earth. You need a bit of experience to forecast. So this is a problem with some management who have no idea how to weather forecast. They think we can just forecast anywhere in the world. You can't. So anyway, so I asked this fellow who had been working as a meteorologist in Japan for about 40 years, and he just said, look at what happened in the history, what happened in the past. Look for similar events, and you can actually draw a lot from similar events. So I took a lot from that, not only in my professional career, but also my investing. Look what happened in the past, because as Mark Twain said, history doesn't often repeat, but it often does rhyme. So what I did is I went through history, went through what happened in the past. And funny enough, I actually eventually went to, what I did is I just scrolled through the NASDAQ. Yeah, it was pretty silly of me. I went through NASDAQ. If I can find it here, there it is. And I just went through history, just observing, looking for big updates. And I thought, why not just ask ChatGPT? And I did that. And ChatGPT gave me all the days I found out in the end. Okay, so the last time we had a day like this was actually during the COVID-19, 13th of March, 2020. And what I'm going to do is just have a look to see what happened after that. So that was the last really big update. And if you remember COVID-19, some of you might not, because maybe that was before you started investing, there was a lot of volatility, a lot of uncertainty during that period. And on the 13th of March, which was not the bottom, just near the bottom, but not quite the bottom, the NASDAQ was up 10.07%. Now, what happened there, and the reason there was a bottom is because that's when governments came out with stimulus packages. And that really alleviated the uncertainty. We knew what was going to happen, and there was a V-shaped recovery. So that was sort of an unusual event. And I don't think we can draw much out from that, because that was a completely different sort of set of circumstances. And now the previous to that, now this didn't happen. The market or NASDAQ wasn't down by more than 10% on this particular day, but I'm just going to use it because it is interesting. So on the 26th of December, 2018, NASDAQ did rally 6% on that day, and that was the bottom. Now, back then, that was also the reason why the NASDAQ dropped 23.34% on that particular day was because of tariffs and possibility of rising interest rates. And on the 26th of December, that was all alleviated, and that was the bottom. Now, that was not that. I suppose that was the bottom. So there's a chance maybe this is the bottom. Now, if we go back in history even further, before that, we saw a few days in the GFC where we did see the NASDAQ rally by more than 10%, including one day where it went up 12.6%. So let's go all the way back to the GFC just to see, was that near the bottom? Now, this happened in October 2008, and that was during the peak in the uncertainty. So again, it's all about uncertainty. So the 2 days there were the 13th of October and the 28th of October. So the first one there was the 13th of October. On that particular day, the market had dropped a lot over the past month. So it was definitely oversold. And on this particular day, the NASDAQ rallied 12.58%. Yes, 12.58%. And maybe at that point, everyone thought, oh, what a great day. This is the bottom. The next day, NASDAQ opened up higher and then dropped 4.54% and kept on dropping. And it wasn't long after that, on 28th of October, NASDAQ had another really good day, up 10.9%. That was at the bottom? No. We still saw a lot of volatility after that. The bottom of the NASDAQ was reached, it's sort of like a double bottom there. So November into March. And that typically, the March 2009 was a bottom in the market. So close. Those two October dates were close to bottom, but we did see further downside and still of uncertainty because that was a time when Lehman Brothers and all these other banks were going bankrupt and we just didn't know what was going to happen. Well, I didn't know. I didn't really care at that point. And then previous to that, we go through to the tech bubble burst back in 2000 through to 2002. And on the 3rd of January 2001 was the greatest NASDAQ day in history. In fact, on that day, the NASDAQ rose 18.8%. Yes, 18.8%. Was that the bottom? No. So let's go back through to 2000 and to that period and notice again that was during a time when the market was falling. So again, the best days typically occur when the market is dropping. When the market is dropping. So the first time it happened was the 17th of April, 2000. And that was just after the market had reached its peak. Now, at that point, the market had collapsed. So that was just the start of the bubble bursting. But on the 17th of April, the NASDAQ rallied 10.10%. And I would also say that was a case where the market was oversold. And if you actually compare what's happening now to then, they do look fairly similar. This was just after the market started falling. And now we've just started to see the market falling. Wasn't that long ago. So still a lot of volatility there. You can see after that date, market up and down like a yo-yo. So, and then there wasn't any major significant downturn until we saw the market started dropping in September, about, 5 months later. And then if we go to 30th of May, on 30th of May, there was another really good day as well. NASDAQ on that day was up 10.08% and actually did rally for a bit after that. So that was good. But market then moved into a bear market, a really good bear market. And then we saw a really good day on the 5th of December, 2000. Where is it? There it is, 5th of December, 2000. No, that was not it. 5th of December, 2000, up 11.7%. And that was in the middle of the bear market. And it went up a little bit days after and then fell away. And then 1 month later, almost 1 month later, on the 3rd of January, 2001, we saw the best day in NASDAQ history. 18.8% up, but you can see surrounded by that best day, a lot of down days. So it doesn't look that impressive, does it? So it's just sort of hidden. That really good day is actually hidden among all these really bad days and good days as well. And that was not the bottom. So all these tech bubble burst, really good days were not the bottom, nowhere near the bottom. In fact, the NASDAQ just kept on dropping after that. I think it dropped, if I remember correctly, the NASDAQ dropped another 50% from that particular bad day. Yep, jury kept on dropping. A few other really good days in there. 3rd of October, 2001, up 7.8%. But there was another good day on the 8th of May, 2002. Where is it? There it is, up 10.62%. And again, sure, you missed out on this day, but you also missed out on the rest of the bear market. So whenever I hear people say you have to be fully invested because you're then going to miss out on the really good days, well, you also miss out on the bad days. So, yeah, I would always take that. Now, the NASDAQ doesn't go back as far as the Great Depression, but the Dow Jones does. And I went back to that period between 1929 and 1932, and there were some really good days. And typically, those really good days did not indicate that the bottom had been reached. So I think Rudy is absolutely right. Just be aware that this does not mean we have reached the bottom. There's still going to be uncertainty out there. This is just a pause on tariffs, a 90-day pause. So as we move more towards that 90-day period, I think the uncertainty is going to increase and we might see further downside. And the other thing is the possibility of a recession. It's still there. And that will lead possibly to further downside. And who knows what's going to happen with the USA-China trade war. It could go on for another 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. We don't know. And there's a possibility that if this trade war between those two countries continue, it weakens both of those countries and all the rest of the world just benefits. The rest of the world benefits. So in a way, maybe we want the trade war to continue, us being selfish. Okay, by the way, so 30 minutes left of trading. I'm not going to go until the start of trading. What I always do at this point in the day is have a look at some of the announcements that have been released. And what I'm looking for here is Appendix 4Cs, trading updates. Now, we did have like Wildcat Resources. That's an Appendix 5B. I don't think they're in operations. So what I usually do is just to confirm that. A lot of times I just open it up, and if they don't mention any sort of production numbers in the highlights section, this company is not in production. And you can verify that just by scrolling down, having a look at the cash flow statement. They're not in production. So a lot of these mining companies I don't need to have a look at. But Spectre, SPECTUR, ticker code SP3, is a company that has, or there is selling something, and I will always have a look at these companies. And I thought, because they have released it a little bit early, I thought maybe this will be a good quarter. No, operating cash flow negative by 83,000. This is a company that sort of, this is a company that oscillates, that's a good word, oscillates between being operating cash flow positive and negative. In fact, you might see that in their activity report. They might just show you a graph of their operating cash flow. Sometimes they do it. Oh no, it's a little bit dearth of information, this particular one. But on occasion, they will show their operating cash flow. But I suppose typically they only show it when they are operating cash flow positive. And this is not one of those quarters. Now, Spectre is not the sort of company I'm interested in at this point in time, simply because, well, the chart looks pretty horrible. And the company just can't get to that inflection point. And the chart looks horrible. Now, this share price of this company could go up 30% today. In fact, what I'll do is just go to the end. Yeah, share price could go up 30% today. It could go up 50% almost. Yeah, it could literally go up 50%. Let's just have a look. Yeah, nothing yet. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of the small caps. You won't see much movement. And then you're going to see a lot of movement in some of the bigger caps, the high quality big caps like Pro Medicus. This is the company I would see. I wouldn't imagine the share price would rally a fair bit. So Matthew H says, 8th biggest daily percentage rise on the S&P 500 on record. Yes. And again, I'd say most of those days, those other 7 days were probably in bear markets. If not, absolutely, they were in bear markets. Anyway, so it's going to be a good day unless you're fully in cash. And it's going to be interesting to see which companies are down today. There's going to be a few companies down, and yeah, this is not the day you want to be down. In fact, I was thinking before the market opened, or we started to see announcements roll in, I was thinking today's a good day if you do have an announcement that you haven't released yet to the market. Today could be a good day to release that announcement. They shouldn't do that, but today could be a good day. I'm just going scrolling through the rest of the announcements just to see if there might be any sort of trading update. Look, there's a trading update from a company called Metro Performance Glass, MPP. I'll have a look at this after I finish recording. LaserBond have mentioned they're putting expansion plans into US on hold because of uncertainty. Because of uncertainty, I'm pretty sure that's why they've said. Let's have a look. US expansion plan temporarily placed on hold amid global economic uncertainty. Yeah, and that's the problem with uncertainty is sometimes you just don't know what's going to happen. And because you don't know, you put things on hold. Trader Hooper says, Opthia reducing workforce by around 65%, not good. Still suspended. Will Opthia ever go trading again? Good question. I don't know. It could. I'm not in trying to predict anything. If you try to predict something, you're going to be wrong a lot because that is truth. So I try not to predict anything. But if you do predict stuff, forecast stuff, and you're right on one occasion, you can ride on that for a while. A lot of people who do that through life, and that's a lot of times people sell that. Oh, look, I was right on this one occasion, but then you're wrong on the rest, but they don't sell that. Anyway, so what else can I do? Let's have a look. Any other announcements? And net wealth, quarterly business update. I'll have a look at that. A company called CGN Resources, Appendix 5B. I'm just looking for potential top 5 stocks of the day. Wellnex, which did release their Appendix 4C a few days ago. Appointment of PowerMed Plus as UK distributor. And there we go. Opthia, there's the Opthia provides corporate update. And Cube, what's this Cube? Anything in the last 8 minutes? Oh, Renerve. Renerve is a newly listed ASX company. I have not had a look at it. I might have had a brief look at it one moment in time. They have something to do with nerves. It expands global footprint with strategic partnership in India. Okay, I think I might end this video there. If you are going to be buying some stocks today, happy stock buying. I'm going to remain on the sidelines just for now because these are still highly volatile times. The one company I was thinking about buying yesterday was CSL. So CSL, let's have a look. I keep going to the wrong screen. CSL, share price dropped because of possibility of tariffs on pharmaceutical products. Share price only up 2.73%. I think around about $240 is attractive. So I think there's still a bit of concern about tariffs, and that's why the share price is remaining a little bit subdued. But we do have one follow-up question here from Karat. So let's have a look. Why not? Karat Singh, go Australia versus India in cricket. Maybe you don't support cricket. I do know a few Indians who don't support cricket, so they are out there. Morning, Kneppy. Thoughts on Neuron Pharmaceuticals and Orthocell? Are you looking to add more to your portfolio? My answer to that is Orthocell, no. I've already got my initial position with that one. And then what I need for Orthocell is proof of concept. If I really see the receipts and revenue starting to ramp up significantly, I will add to my position. Neuron Pharmaceuticals, I'm fine with just holding what I've got right now. So I bought that many years ago. I've taken profits. I'll be honest with you, I very barely look at Neuron Pharmaceuticals chart. So let's do it now. I think it's below $10. Oh, it's $8.72. So yeah, the chart looks pretty horrendous. And this is one where, yeah, I'm just going to remain on the sidelines. I probably won't add to this Neuron Pharmaceuticals, and one of the reasons the chart. But if I do see a bit of a turnaround in the chart, I might do a little bit more trading. And one of the benefits of trading companies you already own, if you have a really successful trade, what I will do is add to my full-time or long-term position. Ash Deep says, would enter Bravura again at this price? There we go. So what I've done, I've stopped trading. I've stopped selling any of my trades. I did that on Monday, but I did sell a few other ones. I did sell Bravura because it did fall through my sell price. Will I buy back into some of these trades? No. Well, no. Bravura is an interesting one. It could be one where I might buy back in. So Bravura, I would expect a pretty good bounce with Bravura. This is one I would expect to be up. I was thinking maybe 8 to 10%. Anyway, so, and I always make sure that if I do sell out a position, I don't have the mindset that I can't buy back in, because it has been very successful for me in the past to have sold out a position, a trading position, then buy back in. And Bravura, I've done that with Bravura. In fact, I did that with Bravura, last year. So I sold out, and then I bought back in at $1.26 after selling out maybe 3 to 4 months prior to that. And the reason behind that is because you can see the share price had been falling, and I was thinking, oh, this looks not as good now. So I sold out, and then I bought back when the chart looked good again. So I think it's very important. Don't be hesitant of buying back into a trading position. Yeah, and that sort of mindset has worked out well for me in the past. Okay, so that's it for this video. I'm going to watch some TV today. I did a fair bit of shopping yesterday. I bought apparently award-winning hot cross buns from Indoor Pili. They're okay. Yes, maybe I'm a little bit picky, but they're okay. So happy trading, I suppose, or buying. But don't forget, just because we're going to have a really good day today doesn't mean the bottom has been reached. Still a fair bit of uncertainty out there. I think the uncertainty in the short term has come to an end, but still we have this ongoing trade war between China and USA, and also the possibility of recession is still there moving forward. So thank you for watching. And I was not planning this. I had planned to do or release the reaction video to the 7 mag stocks that are cheapest. I've put that on hold just because of what happened this morning. I won't do a live video tomorrow morning unless something really significant happens in the markets. Okay, so thank you. And yeah, have a great day. And I will release an ASX Daily Run video this afternoon, like I always do. So thank you for watching.